Katie Matheson and Alexander Sky, usually known as Sky. This is their Quantum Visit show. I'm just going to be a little loose too about how they're going to talk about their work. It's pretty much going to be Q&A. At the same time, I just want to make one other acknowledgement. Peter Mangert is also here in the room. You're all outside. It's entitled Honky Tonk Robots. It's really cool if you haven't seen it. The mouse is adorable. I don't know. But anyway, so without further ado, Katie Matheson, Alexander Sky. So, how did y'all come up with the name of the show?
That was Sky's idea. This is my view, pretty much came up with
I just felt that, me and Katie probably, touch on a little kind of quasi-like playing, with the way we, things we draw, and I thought it was neat. Quantum physics, coming here and there, in and out of, different dimensions, trying to communicate, like, the intangible.
Yeah, I think it was exactly a cross-reference to, going from something visual and taking it to a level where it's something kind of transcendent, interdimensional. Because I look at Sky's work and I see a lot of the things that deal with that higher vibration. It's like psychology, spirituality, and it's multicultural, multidimensional. And I think I touch upon that a lot in the work that I do. So I thought it was, a good bridge between the two of us. The Sky was the one who came up with the name. I thought it was fantastic. It was very cool.
And say that mural that we painted last month outside the Cincinnati Gallery was entitled Planeta Fantástica.
See, I didn't know that.
The Mexican swap meet.
Mexican swap meet.
With the Andes.
Yeah, as we were working on it, we were just kind of being freeform about the whole process, and we were talking about movies and things that we liked, and we brought up the subject of that movie, Fantastic Planet, which came out, I believe, in the 1970s. And I was surprised that Sky knew about it because he's much younger. And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite movies."
It's a French cartoon, man. That's just kind of where there's aliens and humans kind of like interacting, and I felt that the piece kind of had that feel. It was kind of like alien characters were a little bit elongated or had a little alien feel.
But it was just like we were creating our own little dimension, and it was inhabited by these fantastic creatures and characters, and so that title is where we going. So our little fantastic the predecessor to our exhibit.
I personally am really thrilled because I'm a fan of each of your works, and I'm pretty much familiar with your work through Three Bad Sheep, and this is great to see your individuality here, and then the bridge with Katie, and then Katie's work. So, I mean, even though y'all are so completely different at the same time, it's amazing how y'all are able to fuse together and play off of each other. So, did y'all any of these new works kind of were they inspired by the other?
I think there was probably more like a connection on a psychic level. I think more than we talked about pieces, and as I said before, when I first met him, I was really impressed with his vision and the type of things that he was working with, and that really appealed to me. And I think that's probably why there's like a general vibration or the understanding of the imagery, or not necessarily just the imagery itself, but the feeling that goes through it. There's I think a message that goes through across different areas of culture and spirituality and psychology, physics, and I think it all interrelates in a kind of in an intangible way, to painting.
Absolutely. I would have to think too, like, you know, the Fruit 3 Bad Sheep, like, even working with them, I you know, grew, you know, massively, just like working a little bit more, just like, you know, mixed media, really tapping into different creativity levels. So definitely 3 Bad Sheep, I would have to give it a little shout because it's been influencing my life as an artist and personally my own individual work.
Katie, I have a question. 10 years ago, this coming October, is the anniversary of First Friday, and the very first Friday, I was in this gallery which belonged to you 10 years ago to see this work and to see what used to be on that wall and to see the skies in your work, and then obviously your own work here. And then to understand where 3 Bad Sheep is today and where the 5 Finger Miscount was 10 years ago. Is it prophetic? Is it serendipity? Are you excited to be back?
Oh yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I think it is prophetic in that respect that there was like a visionary quality to what everybody here was trying to do, and it was people coming together to try and create things. And I think that the 3 Bad Sheep is really significant in that respect, that there's like this creative, collaborative mindset that they're all working together, doing this type of, you know, pieces and imagery that wouldn't happen on its own, but as together as a group, you know, manifesting something that's totally different, and it keeps thriving and it's growing. And I think that's kind of like the macrocosm of the whole art scene down here. You know, at first it started about there were individuals that were doing things on their own, trying to make it in a certain, you know, venue. But then as the people started grouping together and doing things as a team, it started to mutate into something different. And I think it's continually, you know, just growing into something completely different. It's really positive.
It's like a little a spiritual ripple, you know, like because really like the whole art district, like community, all the people really work together like a family, and I think 3 Bad Sheep kind of like they kind of like exemplify that, like to just how generally how the Las Vegas community, the arts district community is.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions about pieces, about anything about our work?
I do, actually. Your work, Katie, is sort of iconoclastic, referencing primitive. Where does that come from?
Well, I think it's, for me personally, I think it's more, not really that I'm really trying to reference anything, although I mean, I've been around a lot of different types of artwork and seen different things from different cultures. I tend to think of it more as like being a process of selection and interpretation through like a universal consciousness. That I think that maybe the reasons that a lot of these different cultures have certain images that that people respond to, I think it's something that's deep, that's within, you know, a primal part of all of us as humans. And I hope that comes through in the things that I try to, you know,
Are you talking archetypal?
yeah, I think so, because I think it's kind of like with dreams and dream symbologies and the unconscious, that there's things that resonate with people regardless of what your language is, your cultural barriers, your religious backgrounds, certain things that you see, you tune into them and you respond and know, oh, you know, that's what this is.
Right. So the two of you are reflecting something about the transition that's going on in the culture now, which is, of course, what artists are supposed to do. So in this chaos, what are the patterns that you're revealing to us?
I think a lot of it is, at least for me, I think it's people trying to reflect upon something that's deeper within themselves and trying to pull something from that that's going to help us push further into something internalized. And instead of maybe just looking at what's happening right now in front of us on a physical realm, you know, we're retreating a little bit and going back within ourselves and reflecting upon something that's much deeper and it's, you know, spans a greater, you know, area of time. And from that we can learn more and we can
Very similar with the outlet that I think death really inspires me, but in a bright way. Because, like, say, through different civilizations and different cultures, there's ceremonies like afterlife, you know. And so at times, like, you know, I'll have some like Egyptian hieroglyphs, you know, that with Anubis or different deities that kind of encapsulate that feeling, or you know, this is like, for instance, this is like a little note that a child wrote, talking about different ways people die, and it's written by like a child's hand, and even everything in between that, everything, you know, like the dreams and actual physical experiences of different cultures and different things, and how it really it's just one. It's one. It's you know, people are different colors because the sun is, you know, thicker in different areas, but we're all really generally one. And beyond the physical, I think we all kind of have that deep-rooted kind of connection to outside of us.
Sky, I was looking at this piece and noticed you have the 333 on there. Can you explain? I know what that means, but can you explain?
For me personally, I feel that 3:33 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's just really powerful. Like I think people are sleeping, and a lot of people are like are REM, and so like it's like almost like an astral projection. Like I've had the most deepest philosophical conversations. My artwork's been the most brilliant. I think that time is just really pivotal. Like maybe the moon is like over us directly, and the gravitational pull is strong, and I feel that time is just you know, really creative and a real release.
That's great. You know, the reason why I brought it up is in Hebrew numerology, that's 18, and that's Chi, which is the Hebrew life. I mean, you know, so it's very powerful. I saw it on there, and it's really powerful. So
Awesome. That time for me feels like life. It feels like that's when it's most vigorous. That's when it's like really, it's come out of me the most, and I've noticed it come out of people the most. And it's very rare that I actually like will stay up that late and have like great conversation with people around that time. But when I do, it's usually really intense and the best.
What's some of the music you guys were listening to when you were
For me, I mean, it's all different times.
You know, what do you remember listening to?
Listening to Sade.
I think both of us have like a real wide range of music tastes. I think, when we were working on this piece, we were listening to Sade.
My personal piece is actually like I think that I listen to a lot of drum and bass or jungle, and it's a music that fuses different types of cultural musics together. Say like has that like African type of beat, with that reggae influence, a lot of some jazzy notes, and it's really a type of music that's kind of like fast sped up with the drums, and like the bass lines are slow, and so you can either take it fast or take it slow, and I think that music really helps me be creative in a way where I can just express myself however I feel, because with say a certain track, it like takes you through a rhyme, but also too while you're going through it, there's different frequencies that are happening in that type of music, and so I can just take it any which way, and I enjoy painting or doing artwork, listening to jungle communities.
I have a question. Seeing his artwork all the time, but being a fan of Katie's, I've noticed that both of you use the human anatomy in different exponential ways. They're either expanded or they're more exaggerated. So can you elaborate to me on the just on the shock value or that type of element that you guys use in your art?
For me, I think it's just that I just think the human form is, like ultimate beauty, and especially faces and the whole form. And I think there's a complete language with the gestures, with features, and so much can be said just with like one aspect of that. I mean, you could say, just like a picture is worth a million words. You could do that. You could see somebody's eyes. You could see, their mouth with their nose, and I think you can convey a lot, through a visual vocabulary with just those simple elements.
Mm-hmm. And
Well, I think personally, it gives a feel of motion. Like say when something's elongated, it feels like it's like carrying on. So sometimes when I do things that are elongated, like I want to give a motion where things are stretched. Because I want, even though it's still framed, I want people to still kind of perceive like there is motion. There's things coming out or going in, and so. And I've had many people tell me that that's terrible. It's a terrible technique. What I need to do is like go back to drawing say like symbols like circles and kind of like drawing the anatomy the way it should be. And but it's it's fun. I think that's when I can really express myself and be free is when I break out of that and kind of like exaggerate certain parts that feel right at that time.
I think too that using the human figure is a great way to bridge your vision over to viewers. I mean, how natural is it to see a picture of a figure and you can understand something within yourself through that, is like a bridge. As opposed to like you did a painting of a dog or a cat, it's like you have humanistic elements to it. And you can put your your ideas, or whether they're imaginary or they're extreme or they've changed to a great degree, you can still convey your message through that, that image.
I'm curious, what is the top left piece, the two of you together? What is? Tell me about that piece, because a lot of people have been inquiring about that. And, I mean, I can say a lot of different things about it, but I was just wondering what was going on there.
Now it's anytime street sign. So pretty much, I have it's with the title of the show, Quantum Physics. It's like, at any moment when we daydream, we're jumping through, we're kind of like somewhere else while we're not really tangibly there. In a simulated experience, it's at any time, we can always be somewhere in our mind. Katie, you're amazing. The airbrush, that is intense.
No, well, I looked with you, it started with, and I was like, oh, that's great.
And I heard a comment that said that even though like the styles are a little different, like one's kind of like darker sketch or whatnot, that they have like a similar flow.
Oh yeah, totally. I think so. You use like the Bible, you use like the shines, and it repeats itself in the larger piece.
Well, I like the fact that no matter any time, it's always going to be succulent and good, so that's good. If you guys are collaborating, how do you decide what the collaboration is ultimately going to be, or do you just go?
It was completely an organic process. There wasn't any pre-planning. It just happened. And I think from experience with collaborations, I think that's the best way to make it happen. It seems like if you get really controlled and you can, you like map out stuff too much, it loses part of the organic spontaneity, and it's not as fun. I think it's a lot about collaboration. It's a lot about fun. And you're breaking into another artist's mindset and seeing how they flow and how they work, and you just kind of play off of it and just enjoy it.
Well, building on that, for either of you, do either of you sketch before you work?
For me personally, what I do a lot of times is usually late at night before I go to sleep, I do a lot of drawings, just doodles and just off the top of my head drawings. And then later I'll take parts of those out and I'll incorporate them into paintings that I'm working on. Sometimes you have an idea and it's like, oh, I want to paint this. It's a specific idea. But then as you're working on it, you incorporate other elements into it, and that's where I'll sometimes refer back to sketches and things that I've done before.
I would say my process is very similar to that. Things that like ideas that I'll get, I'll sketch them, and then I might not ever, say for like maybe 2 years later, I'll look at the sketch and I haven't seen it for a long time in a certain notebook, and then I say, wow, I want to bring it to life. But I usually just kind of overlap it, like incorporating a different idea with a lot of the work that I'm doing now, because there's a lot of subject matter and a lot of different characters and different features at times.
Well, you must have begun to collect goodies, right? At this point, you must be.
I'm like a hoarder. I have my girlfriend hates me. I find like a piece of paper on the floor that looks, interesting to me. I, put it in my pocket. And I come home and I'm just like emptying out my stuff.
I might need that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a big fan of like, calligraphy and different writings. And so I'll collect newspapers from different countries, and I'll just have them for like years sitting there, and just at times just time to cut them up and put them somewhere where people could appreciate them too. Just the script aspect of it. I love it.
Sure.
Yeah, I love that about it.
It could say vegetables, but it's Thai, and I'm like, yes, vegetables are great.
So I got another question. I'm not thinking of anything. Okay. So we oftentimes think about art from the perspective of creation, but I think a lot of us who are doing it, we know that there's this big piece that's about moments of destruction. That enable the creation, moments of destruction. And I was wondering, maybe that would set you guys off in some way, like where do you find your moments of destruction in your process?
I think it's always exemplified in my work, like how I say that death really influences me. And not that I'm afraid of it, but I embrace it and I love it because for me it's like a new beginning or a graduation. Like you're going to the place that you're pulled to, that you always love, and so I at times there's an image right there on that particular piece of Mictlantecutli. He's the Aztec deity of death, but they view him as a good figure because he comes and takes all that's passed away for new life to spring forth. So I like it. It's like a renewal instead of like something that's like scary. Oh, it's the end. It's like no, it's going to get renewed.
I like that. And that's a great question that you said, especially from an artist's perspective, because I deal with that all the time within my work, that I'll reach a point where I will think that I'm like doing the best thing that I've ever done. And it's like, oh, this is awesome, I love it, I like where it's going. And then one day I'll look at it and I'm like, this is a piece of shit. And then you find yourself just totally changing everything, and just, it's so hard to do that. But I think that's like the total growth process about learning, and I think it's reflected in our lives. And you have to always do that. You have to always go through and find the good from the bad, and know when it's time to make a transition and kill part of something and just burn it out. And then you start over, and then once you do that, you're like, wow, I feel free, I've grown, and something better has come from it.
So do you have, when you're, especially like a lot of times you're working in multiple figures, and I'm imagining that you're in the midst of it, and you're like, this is the best thing ever, and then you come in and you go, oh, this is shit, and then you look and you go, all right, I need to attack this section, and it's there, and you just go at it, and even though you put 10 hours, 15 hours,
yeah, you just totally erase it. Yeah, you just destroy it, and you do some. It's so infuriating at times, and you just look at it and you hate it. You're like, oh, this isn't going anywhere, and you just block out the whole thing and destroy it, and you start over. And from that, maybe you'll create a whole new shape that compositionally it looks beautiful, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this set me on a new path, and you just go through it, and then you're happy. But it's constantly like that. It's every piece is like that. It's never in a predicting way where you can go, well, if I lay out these shapes, the composition's going to look good, you can balance it with this. There's always that moment of when you reach it, that you're like, I have to change all of this. And it's going to be changed with something else, and then you find harmony in it.
I think graffiti really helped me with that because, a lot of my, group in the past, we would we'd do something good, and then someone would be like, no, I'm going to top that, and we'll just buff that. And you're like, dude, I wasted all my money on this spray paint. It's not cheap. So when you do something, and you're like proud of it, you take a picture, and they're like, okay, you took a picture? Yeah, cool. Buff it. And it's like, okay, then you do something new. But it's like, you're trying to do better. So when I was doing graffiti, I was like, okay, now I'm going to do even better, so they won't want to buff it. So they'll be like, that's all right, cool, I'll leave that. So I think graffiti kind of helped me too, with kind of not caring, like, that's cool, man, I'm going to do better. So when there was like that end where it was just like, okay, destruction, it was like, okay, I'm gonna come back a little bit, do a little bit different. That's it for me.
Anybody else? Questions? Miss Laura, do you want to end the ceremony?
No, I just want to thank Katie and Scott, because this has been a show that's been in the works for like a year. So it's just an honor to have them both here, and I'm just thrilled. And I mean, it just even flows with J.K. Russ's. I mean, the gallery to me is never looked better. And no, and I just want to say thank you too, because for me, I think a lot of you know that I'm going back and forth to San Francisco, and I'm here, and the gallery is. I mean, to me, the gallery is like evolving, because it's a lot of people now participating in the gallery and making the gallery do something, I mean, larger than life. So I just want to thank everyone who's participating. Lulu, Roxy,
Christian helped out a lot.
Yeah, thank you all of you.
Christian Hunt the show. I mean, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's helping.
I have to say that this show was really exciting to hang because it was so. I hope you guys realize how much love and support you have from the